Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Jeff Shore One-on-One, and I am absolutely thrilled to have with me today an absolute legend in the management guru circles and certainly in the speaking industry, one of the most sought-after speakers in the United States, the one and only Joe Calloway. Joe, how are you, sir?
I'm good. You might be hyping it a little bit, but thank you for the kind words, and I'm tickled to be with you today.
Well, thank you very much. Joe and I had the opportunity recently to address a group of managers together. I have seen him speak at the National Speakers Association conventions in the past, but this was sort of a different setting. It was really great, and he was kind enough to give me a copy of his book, Becoming a Category of One. Fantastic book. I am about a quarter of a way through it here, having picked it up a couple of days ago, and it was really, really strong. Joe, if you could just sort of lead off and tell us the premise of the book, how you got to thinking about writing it in the first place, and really who that book is for.
The premise, Jeff, came from the work that I had been doing for 20 years at that point, because the book first came out almost 10 years ago. What you've got is the revised, updated version that came out just a couple of years ago. But, you know, in working with it, and one of the great things about what both of us do is we get to work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different people. And what started to intrigue me was, what is it that sets really extraordinary companies and companies that are able to sustain success? What sets them apart from everybody else? Particularly in terms of mindset and culture, the way they think about the business, the way they look at their business. And I started seeing some patterns, and that's ultimately what the book is about. What are the ideas that top performers have? And I really come back to that word mindset. What's the mindset that top performers have that any of us can do without writing a check if we just choose to do it?
Are you talking about companies here, individuals, or both?
You know, it's interesting. I'm talking about both. Because when you look at the mindset of a leading brand, of a Procter & Gamble, or, you know, the usual suspects, Apple, Google, Southwest Airlines. When you look at the mindset of that organization, well, that, of course, is nothing but a reflection of the mindset of the people within it. But then if you look at the mindset of a Super Bowl winning team, or a top PGA golfer, or, gosh, a top performer in any endeavor, in any field, there's really no difference. So it's about the way top performing big businesses think, little bitty businesses like mine think, and the way top performing individuals think.
So give me one of your favorite examples, either from an individual or from an organization, that you look at it and you go, this one just, the first time I saw this, I thought that's a category of one right there.
You know, the one that I almost automatically default to, Jeff, and it's everybody's heard the stories about them, and a lot of people are customers of them. I have to go with Southwest Airlines, and here's why. Southwest does, I think, about the best job of anybody out there in one of the toughest industries anywhere, the airline business, which is excruciatingly difficult to make work. Southwest has got it nailed on the two levels that I think are most important. One are the nuts and bolts, the basics. They're really, really great at executing what it takes to run a good airline. Keep the planes on time, baggage delivery, low fares, all that. And at the same time, Southwest gets it. They get the importance of the relationship end of it. Not just with customers, but with each other, with their vendors. And so there are a lot of other companies that do it well, but to me, they're pretty much the classic.
Now, you actually, if I'm not mistaken, had the opportunity to meet the great Herb Kelleher at one point. Yes, how did that go?
Yeah, that was great. And of course, you heard me talk about that a couple of days ago. It was just one of the most interesting, fun exchanges I've ever had. I met Herb Kelleher years ago in Kansas City, quite a character. And to give you just a condensed version of the story, I asked him, I said, what is it that makes Southwest great? And he's smoking a cigarette. He's got a real gravelly voice. And he says, well, there's a couple of things, son. First of all, we're good at the nuts and bolts. We know how to run an airline and everything I was just talking about. He said, we really work hard at getting the basics right. He said, but the other things are love and fun. He says, we love everybody. Our people love each other. We love customers. We love their money. He said, they all love me. You ask them, they'll tell you they love me. And he says, the other thing is fun. He said, we have more fun running an airline than the law would allow.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, Jeff, if you get the basics right and you love everybody and you're having fun,
right.
I mean, that's pretty good business plan.
It really is. And it is ironic because you and I are on airlines, on different airlines all the time, and we see all those airlines that are clearly not having fun, right? And,
no kidding.
yeah, everybody knows it too. All right, so that's a great organization. What about ideas for individuals? And that might come from your own life or your own business practices. What do you do to become a Category 1? What suggestions can you make for people within their own day-to-day walk that allows them to be a Category 1?
Well, and this is one where, as the old saying goes, I really work hard at eating my own cooking and taking the medicine that I prescribe for others.
Right.
And it's this. Always get better. Constant improvement. Which is, I mean, people hearing that may be saying, duh. I mean, that's not exactly a new cutting edge idea. It's not the idea, it's the execution. Mm-hmm. Everybody agrees that we have to get better. Yeah. Very few people really and truly do it as a daily process. Not a day goes by that I don't work, and I mean work with intention and purpose, at making my product better, at making our service better, at being easier to do business with. And if you go back even to Deming, who was the father of the quality movement, he said that the absolute core idea that drives quality is constant improvement.
Right.
And whether you're looking at, Phil Mickelson as a golfer, or you're talking about Procter & Gamble and what they do with Tide, the best-selling laundry detergent in the world, right, or a home building company, or whoever, and certainly on an individual basis. If you really work with intention at getting better at every aspect of your business and make it just a natural part of what you do. I believe that top performers can't do anything without thinking at the same time, how can I be better at this? I just think that's a real key.
Well, this is really interesting because I'm sure you're seeing this in your business. I know I'm seeing this in mine. Of course, I live sort of in the home building world and the real estate world more than anything else. And one of the things that we're seeing is that over the last 5 years, which have been admittedly very, very difficult years, growth has change has happened, but it's been more responsive growth. And that is we have been forced to adapt, and the market has told us how to adapt. Now it seems like the winds are changing and the market is perhaps coming to our back a little bit and giving us a little boost. The problem here is we can no longer go with responsive change. Now we have to go with a more of a proactive change. We can't change. I know Ellen Glasgow once said that not all change is growth, just as not all movement is forward. And we've been changing, but it's been a reactive change. How do you shift your mindset from just reactively changing just to stay alive in a scarcity market to proactive change in what could be an abundance market?
Yeah, and I think that really is a mind shift. A quote that I shared with you in the group the other day, which I just love. Mario Andretti, the legendary race car driver, once said, "If everything feels like it's under control, you're not going fast enough." And we're coming out of a time where a lot of the challenge was to keep everything together. Right. Just keep the ship intact. Yeah. And it was, for a lot of folks, it was survival mode. And to go from that into giddy up, we need to step on the gas and we need to get aggressive. And instead of protecting or trying to preserve market share in a shrinking market, let's start thinking about growing market share again. Right. How do we do that? And I do think that this is a great time for people to go back as individuals or as a company and say, let's look at the basics of what we do, and let's not take for granted anything about our performance on the basics. Right. If we can take the 3 or 4 basics of our business and improve, pick a number, 20% on our performance of each of those, I mean, the effects of that on potential growth can just be extraordinary.
Absolutely. Joe, I appreciate it. The book is called Becoming a Category of One. You can go to the website you see on your screen, joecallaway.com, and bring Joe in for your organization. Joe, I can't thank you enough. Just absolutely, you've got my head spinning here just thinking through some of the concepts. I really, really appreciate your very, very valuable time. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thanks a million.
Take care now.